Hello students, welcome. Welcome to this CL1 Advanced Audit and Assurance discussion, the discussion of the mock exam paper. Students, first of all, before we starting this session, I would like to thank the staff, the management of CA Sri Lanka to allowing the students to go through a mock exam paper because in a very recent discussion that we have had with the CA Sri Lanka, the management as well as the people who are responsible, it was identified, and we have to be thankful for CA Sri Lanka to organizing this mock examination because this will provide the much needed examination practice, right? You will be given much needed examination practice from this because students, the other point is that how much that you do theory is worthless if you are unable to strategize how to answer this paper. So this opportunity, I think you all have grabbed it from both hands. So let's see how the paper that you have written, the mock examination paper, how the answers for those questions can be developed. So don't worry students, when you are answering that paper, if you found any difficulty, because you have still time, right? Still you have time, because this mock examination paper, the process, the objective of the entire mock examination process is to make sure that you all are ready for the examination. So this is a curve, right? This is kind of a timeline. This is kind of a process. Even though you found it difficult sometimes, right? You still have time to study. You still have time to master your answering. You still have time to refer to the theory, the study packs of CA Sri Lanka. So get much needed exam practice. Now, this is one of the areas that we all wanted to focus. So students, straight away, we will move into our discussion and we will see how to develop, how to strategize, how to arrive at a quality answer at the examination. That's what we all need, right? So how to arrive at a good quality answer, how to develop a good quality answer at the examination. So therefore, students, everybody, one thing that I wanted to tell you, first thing that I wanted to tell you before starting this, right? Start karan isella palaveni de. The first thing that I wanted to tell you is that when you are answering a paper, auditing paper, maybe it's, let's say, business level, maybe it's, let's say, corporate level or strategic level, paper related to auditing, governance, risk, students always focus on the paper with a skeptical mindset. You I would say, approach the paper with a skeptical mindset, with professional skepticism always. Auditing paper has to be strategized with professional skepticism. That should be in your mind. That's point number one I wanted to tell you. You have to read, you have to answer your paper with professional skepticism in mindset. When you have that probing, inquiring mindset, then only you can gather points to answer, right? So let's see how to develop the answer, how to develop your answering. So students, let's first we arrive at, we will approach the MCQ questions, the multiple choice questions. So after multiple choice questions, students, we will go into the 10 marks questions, and then we will move on to the larger questions. And in the meantime, I think the chat box is open. So if you have any doubts, right, if you have any areas to be cleared, if you have any areas where you need clarifications, students, you can always bring that to the discussion, and you can ask and clear. You can ask and clear, bring that to the discussion. That's always open. This is an open forum, students, which we all collectively learn, right? Not only individuals, we all collectively learn. So students, let's go into the paper. I will share the paper, and then let's discuss the answers one by one. Students, I'm just asking, do you all see my screen? Is my screen visible to you? Just if my screen is visible to you, just let me know whether it is visible to you or not. Is it visible?
Can see.
Can, no? Right. Thank you very much for your response. Annevage response ka denna. Good. Let's move on, right? This is the paper, students. You know your paper structure, right? How is the paper is structured? Your paper, students, is a 3-hour paper with 15 minutes reading time. Strategize that reading time well, because that reading time that is given to you, 15 minutes, is a, I would say, it's gold dust. It's gold, right? Read the paper. I would prefer you reading questions number 6 and 7 in the reading time fully. The last 2 questions, which will give you 20 marks each. When the May questions, these 2 questions, which will give you 20 marks each, which is coming in section 3. Question number 6 and 7, where you are getting 20 marks each. Right here, you get 20 marks each here, and you get another 20 marks each for your question number 7. So, if possible, students, because strategize your answering strategize karaganna. The 15 minutes golden reading time that is coming to you, utilize for reading. I would say questions number 6 and 7. Right then, students, as a starting point, because in a 15 minutes reading time, no one will be able to read the entire paper. Mark my words. Within 15 minutes time, the entire 10 marks questions, you can't read the 2 larger questions of 20 marks. So what we can do, strategize your answering. If any repeated students, right, students who are repeating these questions, this examination, students, this time just change your approach. Read question 6 and 7 in the reading time, then start your answering with MCQs. Read 6 and 7 in the reading time, so leave it thereafter, and students start with MCQs after that, right? So MCQs, I would say there are 10 MCQ questions for you. 10 MCQ questions for you. So each giving you 2 marks for 1 question. So 20 marks in this area. My plan, right? My advice to all of you, out of the 10 MCQs, everyone should try to get minimum 8 correct. Right? At least try to get 8 questions correct out of 10 MCQs. When you get 8 correct in MCQs, 2 questions, students, we can have kind of a leeway. Anyway, there will be a normal loss. Not 2 questions can go wrong. So if you get 16 marks you have earned within a time period of 20 minutes. 16 marks you have earned within a time period of 20 minutes. Do that, right? That should be your plan. When you get 16 marks in 20 minutes of starting the exam, students, that's like power play in cricket. Get my point, right? Change your approach to the paper. Change the normal approach that if you are a repeated student, if you are, let's say, a new student, anyone, this is the approach I'm suggesting. If you, let's say, within the first 20 minutes of MCQ, if you target and get 8 correct, students, 16 marks in first 20 minutes you got. So that, students, like you hit the power play in a cricket match. So that should be your strategy. So let's start with question number 1. Students, see, you are the auditor of Reliance Private Limited. You are currently performing the audit of the financial statements of this company for the year ended 31st March 2022. So students, when examiner provides you kind of a time frame, a financial year end, always be mindful of subsequent events. Sri Lanka Auditing Standard number 560. Be ready to prepare a timeline. Timeline එක ගහගන්න ළමයි ready වෙලා ඉන්න. Subsequent events timeline එක sometimes the question may have embedded, right? So for the year ended 31st March 2022, this company is having some of the inventories in third-party subcontract locations. So some of the inventories are at third-party subcontracted locations. Students, let's say one company is having manufacturing facility, but their warehouse is a subcontract warehouse. As an example, Haley's Advanced warehouse at, let's say, at Orugodavatta, or maybe let's say maybe at Biyagama area, warehouse is subcontracted. So subcontract warehouse provider holding the inventory. The management has identified the inventory and reported it in the financial statements. So management, that subcontracted warehouse inventory, has identified and put that into the inventory, the closing inventory balance. The balance as at 31st March 2022 is material. So if you apply materiality, inventory is material. So if any misstatement that is happening in inventory, students, will result in modification of your opinion, SLA 705. You wish to ensure the existence and completeness of inventory. You wish to ensure the assertions, existence and completeness. Number one, you want to ensure that inventory which is recorded is physically existing, and you want to ensure that all inventories are recorded in the inventory balance. But you were not able to perform a physical verification of this inventory. So the inventory which is at the third-party warehouse, you were not being able to physically verify it. Physically verify you are not being able to physically verify that particular inventory. So select the most appropriate audit procedure you will undertake to ensure the completeness of inventory of Reliance Private Limited. Students, what is the most appropriate audit procedure that you could do? First one. So what's your assertions that you want to verify? Existence and completeness, as well as you want to ensure completeness of inventory at Reliance. Number one, test the valuation of this inventory items recorded as inventories held at third parties. Students, first answer is completely out because we are testing existence and completeness, but here you are testing valuation. So it's out, right? For testing assertions of existence and completeness, no point of testing valuation. Out. Part B, read the notes to the financial statements to ensure accuracy of information. So no point of testing accuracy when you want to test completeness and existence. Part C, request confirmations from third parties and match that with the general ledger. So that's the answer, students. When you request confirmations from third party warehouse provider, let's say Haley's Advanced, the warehouse contractor, you ask from him, hey, my dear friend, I'm doing the audit of this, my client, Reliance Private Limited. Can you please confirm the balance of the inventory that you are holding? So when they confirm the balance, students, you know inventory balance confirmed from third party. So third party evidence, students, more reliable. We know SLAS 500 audit evidence. SLAS 500 state, student, third party evidence is more reliable. So confirmations are more reliable. So it can verify existence as well as completeness. Test the controls implemented by the entity to ensure. No, answer is, students, C. First one, answer is everyone C. Answer C. Hope you got it right. So the learning that I want to tell you here, students, examiner testing you a particular assertion here, existence and completeness. So your audit testing, your audit procedure should be directed at correctly testing that assertion, not any other assertion. Okay. So other audit procedures are also correct, but not for this assertion. So refer the assertion and develop the procedure. So that's the learning that you got to get from this question. Assertion එක බලලා ළමයි procedure එක බලාගන්න. So answer C. Look at number 2. In verifying the opening balances of Valley Private Limited, when you read, demarcate specifically between private limited and public limited, students, because private limiteds, the risk profiles are different. The newly appointed auditor noted that there is, students, auditor is newly appointed. So new auditor noted that there is a material misstatements in the closing inventory valuation as at 31st March 2021. So newly appointed auditor has identified that closing inventory valuation carrying a material misstatements during last year. Last year there was a material misstatement at the closing inventory. This has not been detected by the predecessor auditor. Previous auditor could not identify that, and he has provided an unmodified audit opinion, right? Unmodified audit opinion have been issued on the financial statements of this company for the year ended 31st March 2021. Students, so your audit firm is the newly appointed auditor, right? So previous year, when closing balances, closing inventory contains a material misstatement, so ideally a qualified opinion has to be given, but the previous predecessor auditor has given a true and fair view, I would say, unmodified opinion. Students, how should the present auditor deal with this matter? May matter එක present auditor deal කරන්නේ කොහොමද? Students, for this is related to a particular auditing standard. Can anyone remember what is this? You are the newly appointed auditor, alut auditor. So you are verifying the opening balances. So you have identified last year closing stock. That means this year opening stock contains a material misstatement which was unmodified. How should the present auditor should deal with it? What is the relevant auditing standard, students? Can anyone remember? For this, for a newly appointed auditor, what is the relevant auditing standard? Anyone? Can anyone remember? You can speak, and also you can put that on the chat box as well. What is the relevant auditing standard? Can anyone remember? Newly appointed auditor. You can speak. Students, this is Sri Lanka auditing standard number 510, right? Initial engagements, opening balances. The learning outcomes are tested from that auditing standard. Initial engagement, opening balances. So what you got to do, if the opening balances contains a material misstatement, right? If it is affecting this financial year as well, and if the management is reluctant, not willing to adjust for it, students, you got to go for a modified opinion, because opening balance, right, is embedded with a material misstatement. Opening balance again, material misstatement. There is a material misstatement in the opening balance. So because of that, the opening stock contain last year closing stock means this year opening stock contains a material misstatement. So that means this year you have to modify the opinion with regard to the opening stock. So part A answers, look at it, students. Part A, since the current auditor firm forms the opinion on the financial statements of the current year, the above misstatement has no impact on the auditor's report. Students, even though it's current year, that closing inventory becomes as an opening stock for current year. So if it contains a misstatement, you can't say that there is no impact. So answer A is out. The previous auditor to be requested to reissue the auditor's report, and the same to be mentioned as a current year auditor's report. No. When the audit has been changed, they will not reissue the audit reports, right? The present auditor should add an other matter paragraph. No. At a time when you have material misstatements at an opening balance, students, no point of issuing an other matter paragraph. Answer D. Since the amount is material, the present auditor should either express a qualified or an adverse opinion on this issue. So answer D, students. SLAUS 510 is the relevant reference area. Lamai 510 is the relevant reference area. Everybody remember, right? In the meantime, if you have any doubt, let me know, right? Look at next one. Part 3. Students, when you are reading, right, this MCQs also, your speed is important. Speed of reading and understanding both is important, right? Hariyata read karla, understand karagana is important. Your firm is the auditor of Cilion Limited, the company, for 10 years, and you are about to commence the audit for the year ended 31st December 2022. Students, your firm is the auditor of Cilion for 10 years. Students, 10 years you are the auditor. If you are the auditor for 10 years, right? From ethical perspective, what sort of a threat to independence that you see? Ethical perspective, threat can anyone identify? I'm just asking kind of a wild card question, right? 10 years, same auditor. What sort of ethical considerations, ethical issues you identify? What are the ethical issues there? Can I have your answers?
Familiarity.
Yes, you see familiarity threat. No, definitely the risk of familiarity is there. Right. During the year, the company has acquired another company as part of its diversification strategy, and your assessment has revealed that this is material to the financial statements. So this acquisition of the subsidiary is material to the financial statements. There have been no other such investments made by the company. So no such investments like that. You have informed the management that this subsidiary is material to the company and needs to rely on the reporting from the auditor of this subsidiary company, as the subsidiary company is audited by another audit firm. Students, what is the auditing standard related to this? Subsidiary companies audited by another auditor, component auditor. What's the relevant auditing standard for this? Can anyone remember? At the planning stage, how do you plan? What's this auditing standard? Anyone remember? SLA was 600, audit of groups, right? Audit of group students, group audit. So remember, group audit, bigger standard, somewhat lengthy standard, go through it. There have been no other changes to the company's ownership or management. So there was an acquisition material subsidiary, no other change. The company is having an internal audit function, and the auditor will not rely on the work performed by the internal auditor. So audit firm do not rely on work of internal auditor. The following matters are included in the draft letter of engagement to be issued to the company. These matters are there: the objective and the scope of the audit, the auditor's responsibility, the management's responsibility, identification of applicable financial reporting framework, and limitations to the audit. Engagement letter, Sri Lanka auditing standard number 210. Based on the information available in the scenario, students, what additional information you will include in the letter of engagement of the company for the year ended 31st December 2022? What additional info that you are inputting? The above covers the mandatory clauses part A that should be in place, and no other matters are required to be included. Students, when there is a significant change and acquisition of a subsidiary, you better, students, address that point in the engagement letter, because now within the group there is a complete change in the structure of the company. Company structure changed. SLA was 210, right? In engagement letter, students, you identified engagement letter. You have to change when there is a change in ownership, when there is change in, let's say, management and structure of the company. When that change, you got to reissue the engagement letter highlighting those points. So part B, the letter of engagement should be stated that the auditor will communicate with the auditor of the newly acquired subsidiary company, and that auditor's work will be relied on. Answer B, because you got to address that in the engagement letter. The letter of engagement should include a clause that the auditors should have unlimited access. So that's general point. Unlimited access lama ek general point hai. The fact that internal audit work will not be relied on for the audit of financial statements for the year ending 31st December. No, that again, students, not relevant. So answer for this is answer B. the other learning point that I want to tell you. Students, always, when you read MCQs, there may be one or two similar answers. The nature of MCQ questions is such that students, there may be one or two similar answers. Answers so at a time when you know that there are similar answers, what you got to do, read the question again and again, one or two times until you understand the basic. And in MCQ, students identify the most relevant answer. MCQ most relevant answer pick right? You got to pick the most relevant answer. So answer is B. Question relevant pick. Question number 4. Your audit firm is responsible for the audit of Reality Investments PLC. Audit of Reality Investments PLC, students, it's a share market listed company. The company is having 3 subsidiary companies where your audit firm is the auditor of those subsidiaries as well. During the year, they made an investment in a company in Indonesia and it is assessed to be a significant entity. Students, I'm asking you a question. SLAUS 600 group audit. What is the demarcation that you make a particular component as a significant component? Significant component when demarcation can anyone remember? The cutoff.
15%.
15%. No, you can remember, right? Good point. Good point. 15%, right? From assets, liabilities, right? If the subsidiary brings, if that particular component brings about more than 15% of the values, students, that becomes a significant component. If it is a significant component, I'm just revising your knowledge. If it is significant component, can you just do, I would say, analytical procedures on it? Should you do a full audit? What's the requirement of the standard? Significant component na analytical procedures should you do a full audit? What's the standard requirement?
Analytical procedures.
So students, read about it, right? Standard everybody, right? This is the knowledge. Now examiner can go for those fine points even, right? He may go for the fine points. So we got to be mastered. Ready, right? When you are ready, you can hammer the paper, right? Or ready una hammer. I done right? See. So it's a significant entity. The Indonesian component has appointed the auditor. They have appointed the auditor, a different auditor would be, and you wish to share the audit instructions with that particular auditor. This is completely a SLAUS 600 question. The audit partner advised you that it is important that you understand about the component auditor. Partner said, my dear trainee, my dear supervisor, go and get an understanding about the component auditor. What assessments you are required to make with respect of the auditor of the Indonesian entity? So for the component auditor, what sort of assessments you got to do? First one, size of the firm and the independence of the component auditor. Is size of the component auditor's firm is relevant to us? That's quite irrelevant. Professional competence of the component auditor seems to be, is professional competence we need to be understand, and we also, students, should be able to get an understanding about professional competence. Seems to be an answer. B seems to be an answer. C, the prior experience and size of the firm. Size of the firm irrelevant. D, the independence and the professional competence of the component auditor. Not only professional competence, students, you got to be thorough about his independence as well. So answer D. Learning outcomes are tested from SLAUS 600. 600 strategize and go in this exam. Lamai mein exam mein 600, right? Ondra balagana Sri Lanka auditing standard number 600 everybody. Question number 5. C. One of your friends have joined a new firm of chartered accountants, a fresh audit firm, and shared some of his experience with the new firm, and some are as follows. Some of his experience are like this. Audit quality is given more emphasis, and every month there is a communication by senior partner regarding the quality expectations and the right behavior. Quality is taken seriously. ළමයි quality එක seriously අරන් තියෙනවා by the senior partner. Students, this is coming from the quality control section. So be thorough with quality control. අනිවාර්යෙන් questions එනවා. Questions are coming. About, I would say 5 to 10 marks will be there from quality control. SLA was 220, right? Sri Lanka auditing standard number 220, engagement level quality control. SLS QC 1, Sri Lanka standards on quality control number 1. Firm level quality control. Or firm level quality control, the what you call firm leadership responsibilities, the human resource management, engagement performance. Can you remember quality control activities under those areas? Remember and go. And also quality control for review of file of a listed entity. See and go. So part 1, audit quality is given more emphasis, and every month there is a communication by the senior partner regarding the quality expectations and the right behavior. That's a good process. SLS QC 1 says that. Number 1. Number 2, that's for engagement. I would say firm leadership. What the leadership has to do. Number 2, recruitment process ensures that the people successfully complete the written examination and get through 2 interviews. Students, that human resource management. One experienced partner is appointed to lead the assurance, equality, and various activities are conducted. Students, that's firm leadership. Senior quality control partner is there. Auditing manual is in place with the updated annually, and those are communicated to the assurance practice staff members. Students, okay. Among above, what activities reflect the firm and leadership responsibility for quality? Students, firm leadership responsibility for quality. Number 1, leadership has to ensure that quality is given emphasis, and communication by senior partners on quality important. 1 is an answer. 3, one experienced partner is appointed to lead the quality. 1 and 3, students, answer C. Question 5, answer C. Students, next one. See that. You are the auditor of Megal Private PLC listed company, and you briefed regarding the importance of personal and firm's independence to the team. Students, because it's a PLC listed company, so firm and team members should be independent, including the threats to auditors' independence. You brief your team about your independence and threats. One of the team members who has joined the firm recently requested what measures the firm has taken to address those threats. So what are the mitigating actions? What are your safeguards? You briefed him about following safeguards measures that the firm has taken. So threat to independence, these are the safeguards you have taken. Number 1. Formal declaration of the financial interest, like shares in clients of the partners and senior staff members. So formal declaration of share market transactions. Randomly select a sample of partners and staff to ensure completeness of disclosures. The partner responsible for independence, right? I would say quality control partner, annually review the number of years the key engagement partners have involved with public interest clients. So familiarity threat mitigation. The firm has set out policies and procedures on independence breaches. Identify which measure or measures will address the familiarity threat. Students, to mitigate against long-standing close relationship threat. What is the answer? Out of these four, what will prevent that your staff members are not becoming familiar with clients? Out of 1, 2, 3, 4, what is the measure? Best measure, mitigating action to avoid familiarity. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's the answer? Anyone?
Answer B, 1 and 3.
What is it? Answer C, 4 only, no? Sorry. Sixth one, answer D. Sorry, 3 only. I got it. Right?
3 only. Yes.
Yes, 3 only. Because students, the quality control partner has to ensure that what is the length this particular partner is engaged, the team members engaged with the client. So review annually how many years they are involved with this particular client. So you got to do a rotation of partners, no? After about, let's say, 3 years, 4 years, you got to rotate the partners, then the familiarity can be broken, right? Close relationships can be broken by that rotations. So answer D, number 3 only, others are not. Green PLC, again a listed company, reports its sustainability reporting. When I say like this, your mind has to all of a sudden should go to assurance section. Lamai assurance section eකට යන්න ඕන. SLS RE 2400 review 2410 4400 SLS RS 4400 agreed upon procedures. Then students, I would say SLS AE 3300. So that one, likewise, all the relevant assurance related standards you got to be familiar with, because this is also 10 marks area. Green PLC reports sustainability reporting and requests the auditor to provide assurance. Auditor should provide students assurance on this. Assurance needed on sustainability report. So sustainability report means, students, not financial statements. It's kind of CSR related reports that are carried along with annual report as integrated information. Integrated reporting information with it, sustainability reporting. So client needs assurance over the measures reported on sustainability relating ESG, environmental, social and governance. That is the measure on environment, social and governance sustainability measures. The auditor wants to know the type of report to be issued in this respect. Students, limited assurance under Sri Lanka Standards on Assurance Engagement 3000. Client needs assurance. Reasonable assurance report under SLAS 700. Students, can you provide reasonable assurance for this? Reasonable assurance will be given only on statutory annual audit. So this is not that. So reasonable assurance kelima out lamai, straight away out. So answer B, out. Limited assurance report under SLSRE 2410. Students, SLSRE 2410 relevant to not sustainability report. It is relevant to what? It is relevant to review of interim financial statements. This is not interim financial statement review. So C also out. This is not an interim financial review. Agreed upon procedure SLSRS 2400, that also out, because students, client needs assurance. So agreed upon procedure, no assurance, you can't do it. So what's the type of assurance you can provide? Assurance. So what's the assurance you can provide? Limited assurance under SLSA 3000. So you can provide low level of limited assurance in a negative report, students, in this time. Go to question number 8. The auditors use computer-aided auditing techniques. Auditors use computer-assisted auditing techniques, computer-aided auditing techniques. Computer-assisted auditing techniques involve mostly audit software and test data. Students, we know computer-assisted auditing techniques, CAAT, is audit software and test data. Audit software, students, can be generalized audit software and custom-built software. Audit softwares will read files. Audit softwares will generate random numbers for your sampling. Audit softwares will read files, sample testing. Then students read softwares will extract data from client systems. Software will do all sorts of work, general and customized audit software. Apart from that, students, CAAT include test data. Test data means data that the auditors are input into client system for verification. Verification purpose, what are the data input by the clients to auditors to the client systems. The following are computer assisted auditing techniques which are used by the auditor. These are the CAATs that the auditors are using. Number one, compare data elements in different files for agreement. Compare data elements in different files for agreement. Example, prices of sales invoices to authorized prices in master file. So sales invoice prices will be matched with authorized prices in master file. Preparation of documents, example, accounts receivable confirmation letters using system. Accounts receivable confirmation, that is done by audit software. Test specific controls in computer programs such as online password and data access control, that is test data. Test transactions used in integrated test facility by examining dummy unit. Among the above procedures, identify what CAT, computer assisted auditing techniques, consider as test data. So among above, what is test data? මේ උඩ තියෙන එමයින් ළමයි test data කියලා කියන්නේ මොනවද? Test data means, students, data input by the auditor to the client system for verification purpose. So auditors are inputting certain data. So out of this, number one, students, it's all about testing. So audit software. Number two, generation of documents. That is not putting data into the client system. Third one, test specific controls in computer programs such as online password and access controls. Password testing, you are providing data to the client system. So 3 is an answer. For test transactions used in integrated test facility by establishing a dummy unit. Putting a dummy unit, that again, students, in inserting data into client system. Test data. Answer 3 and 4. Answer is D. Read carefully. 9. C. Sahan is to perform audit procedures on operating expenses recorded for the year ended 31st March 2022 by his audit client. So Sahan is going to test operating expenses. Client's name is Sunflower Private Limited. Sahan expects that the expenses recorded in the current year to be compared with that of the previous year and identify variances and investigate significant variances defined precisely. So operating expenses, students, you are going to compare, do a comparison with previous figure. Prior year audit was performed by the same auditor. So you are now going to test the reasonability of expenses. So last year audit also done by same audit firm. Prior to planning the above, the audit procedure the Sahan needs to maintain. Students, prior to planning, what he got to do? The expenses for the current year are accurately recorded by the client. No, that's out. Right? Expenses for current year is out. There have been no significant changes to the level of operations of the business compared to the last year. So that's the answer, students, right? So when you are doing that, test the relevant controls relating to all business processes. No, the key expense items of operating expenses are subsequently tested. So prior to planning, what you got to do, answer B. Answer is B. Go to question number 10. The audit report of ABC Limited's consolidated financial statements of this company. The audit report of ABC Limited's consolidated financial statements for the year ended 31st March to 31st December 2021 contained below paragraph. Audit report contained below paragraph. In our opinion, because of the significance of the matter discussed in the above section of our report, the accompanying financial statements do not present fairly. Students, identify the type of opinion that the auditor has expressed. Students, financial statements do not present fairly in all material respects. What is the opinion that you are providing here? Do not present fairly. So generally you say financial statements present fairly in all material respects. But here the auditor is saying financial statements do not present fairly in all material respects. So what sort of an answer? What is that? At what instance? Identify the type of opinion that you have given. What is the opinion that you have given, students? Financial statements do not present fairly in all material respects. What is the opinion given? Qualified emphasis, disclaimer, or adverse opinion? Adverse opinion. Fantastic answer, D, right? Good job, huh? Your active participation, highly appreciated, everybody. Right answer is D. Okay, people? So that's how you attempt, everyone, to the MCQ questions. MCQ questions are attempt karanne. That's how you do it. Students, let's move on to section 2. Before moving on to section 2, right, let me discuss certain points. Students, it is pretty much important that every one of you, hammer, right, everybody should be able to pick, right, the correct answers. Hari uttara pick karaganna ekak thamai podi art ekak, right? Picking a correct answer itself is an art. So let's see. Go to section 2, 10 marks questions. Section 2 ekේ ළමයි 10 marks question එකට අපි යමු. Question number 2. See it. Give me a moment, students. Right. Look at it. Students, next the game is relevant to section 2. Section 2, by this time you have earned around 18, I would say 16, 14 marks. 14, 16, 18 related marks you have earned. Now students, quickly pat, right? පට ගාලා ළමයි මේ ප්‍රශ්න ටික උත්තර ලියන්න ඕන. Answers to section 2 should be developed in a pat manner. Pat manner තමයි ලියන්න ඕන. Because for last two questions, question number 6 and 7, what sort of a time duration you need to write that? My question, to write answers to question number 6 and 7, 20 marks, 2 questions. What sort of a time duration you need? What's your guess to write 6 and 7? What sort of time duration you need? What's your opinion, everybody? Your opinion, what sort of duration you need? Haven't you planned in that way? My dear students, this is what we have also discussed in certain forums, right? Students strategize and plan out well. My advice to all of you, for questions number 6 and 7, 20 marks, 2 questions, 40 marks, right, in your paper. Minimum 1 hour, more than 1 hour and 10 to 20 minutes. Hour and 10 to 20 minutes should be there to answer 6 and 7. Exam practice when you are practicing 6 and 7 questions, you got to have more than 1 hour. My advice, hour and 20 minutes. 6 and 7 world, right? That is where sometimes you may go wrong, because when you are running short of time, when you run out of time, when the examiner is collecting papers, students, sometimes you skip you at last moment you are skipping the questions which are giving you the highest marks. Skip 6 and 7. So students, be mindful, for last 2 questions 6 and 7, keep minimum 1 hour and 10 to 20 minutes. පැයයි විනාඩි 10ක් 20ක් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම තියාගන්න ළමයි. එහෙම නැතුව නම් කරන්න එපා. Strategize well. Shall we read this? Action verbs. See the action verbs. Part A. Assess the most appropriate type of engagement the auditor of Excel Limited shall undertake. Most appropriate type of engagement that you got to do, auditor of Excel Limited shall undertake in providing assurance. Assurance needed, crest remember crest. So assurance needed in providing assurance over the financial information of Excel Limited for the period ended 6 months ended 30th September 2022. Students, 6 months ended 30th September 2022. Is this a full year financial statements or interim financial statements? Make a full year the interim. What's your answer?
Interim
6 months.
financial statement. 6 months.
What is it, my friend?
Interim financial statement.
Good point. Good point, Buddha. It is an interim financial statements. If it is interim financial statements, when you are providing assurance, can you provide a reasonable assurance, or should you go with a limited assurance? What's your answer?
Limited assurance.
Limited assurance, Lamai. Good point, Buddha. So what is the relevant standard for it? What's the standard?
So let's say 2410.
2410. Fantastic. Fascinating. This is the response that I need. So review of interim financial statements 2410. This is the relevant standard that you got to remember. Got it? Patgala crest ඇතුළට මේ ටික දාගන්න. Crest criteria, report, evidence දරපට ගාලා ඒ ටික ලියාගන්න. දාලා බලන්න තමයි මොකද්ද කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. And 6 months you can't provide reasonable assurance. 6 months definitely you have to go with interim financial statements review, right? Excel Limited, which is read now. Excel Limited, which is a subsidiary of XY Investments Holding, is up for sale. Excel is up for sale and a potential buyer has been identified. potential buyer has been identified. The potential buyer requested obtaining some level of assurance for the financial information for the 6 months ended 30th September 2022. So buyer wanted obtaining some sort of assurance for the 6 months ended 30th September 2022 from the auditors of Excel Limited, as the buyers require some level of comfort over the financial information of the target company. So buyer needed some level of comfort. This requires to be done urgently, and no such engagements were undertaken by the auditor with respect to Excel Limited previously. Students, they need assurance. Buyer, acquirer need assurance. That assurance on a when they need assurance on a 6 months period, you got to go for what? SLSR's 2410 review of interim financial statements. Students, look at this. If assurance not needed, assurance on a NAPTA, what is the engagement that you can perform here? If buyer doesn't need assurance, what is the engagement type you can perform here? Can remember? What is students? When an acquirer acquires a company, right? Acquirer needs some sort of an investigation, some sort of, I would say, fact-finding mission. So we call it as what? Due diligence, right? Here, assurance is needed. Okay. So students, assurance needed. So therefore, we have a clear-cut assurance standard 2410, right? So part B, prepare a list of procedures the engagement team should undertake for the engagement identified in A above. So SLSRE 2410 clearly says what are the procedures you have to do. Students, what you can do now for this 6 months assurance, review engagement, limited assurance, what you can do, review කිව්ව ගමන් අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාට focus කරන්නේ two types of procedures. If it is a review, two types of procedures, what we do? Anyone can remember what they are? What are the types of procedures that we do at assurance? Review. Can anyone remember? What are the basic two types of procedures that we do at a review? Inquiry and analytical procedures. Can you remember, students? Right? Just go and see. So prepare a list of procedures that you are doing. So students, procedures can be read and review last year full financial statements, because this is 6 months. So read and review last year full financial statements, read and review last year audit report, read board meeting minutes, review board meeting minutes, evaluate outstanding contracts. Likewise, you can do all sorts of procedures. So shall we answer A and B? A and B answers clear. Shall we write down A and B? Students, action verb is assessment. Action verb assess karne ka. Assessing means you have to directly say what is the assurance you are providing, get the information from the relevant assurance standards, then provide your answer. So write down. The potential buyer requires, we will try to write answers for one of few questions, right? Questions. The potential buyers require assurance from the practitioner. Assurance from the practitioner. Assurance from the practitioner. Hence, since it is for 6 months period ended 30th September 2022, since it is for the 6 months period for the 30th September 2022, the guidance of SLSRE 2410, SLSRE 2410, the guidance of SLSRE 2410 must be followed, where a review of interim financial statements. These are points you get marks, right? A review of interim financial statements, where a review of interim financial statements should be performed. As such, students, now next set of marks you will receive to say what sort of assurance you are providing. Then assurance එක මොකක්ද කියලා කිව්වොත් තව marks ටිකක් හම්බෙයි, right? So as such, a limited level of assurance, in a negative report, can be provided. Limited level of assurance in a negative report can be provided. Fantastic. So write down, students, next one, part B, the procedures, right? Students, prepare a list of procedures. When the examiner asks you to provide a list, right, what you got to do, one after the other, as a bullet point you have to provide, right? He requests about 7 such procedures. Hatak vitar illanawa. So we write down about 7, right? 7 vitar api liyamu. We have to manage our time also, no? So 7 ma bari unat api 5 6 vitar liyamu, right? We write down because today's session we have to manage our time. So first one, write down. Read and review. The most recent full year audited financial statements. Number 1. Number 2, consider and develop a materiality level. consider and develop a materiality level, because you need a materiality, right? Because you are providing an assurance. Third one, students, you got to be mindful about the impact of frauds as well, right? Evaluate the impact of frauds on the financial statements. Third one, evaluate the impact of fraud on the financial statements. Next one, we got to be sure about interim financial statement reliability controls, right? Another one, evaluate the controls, and the reliability of financial statement preparation. Another one, consider any significant accounting policies and judgments used. Consider any significant accounting policies and judgments used. Judgments used during the preparation of the financial statements. One last thing, students. Requesting management about any changes in business activity, during last 6 months. Right, that is how you write, students. Right, now I wanted you to write this, but I want to make a level, right, to show you that this is how you approach. This is the approach of yours for the answer. Now, when the examiner asks you to assess, something, students, for each and every time, students, look at the amount of marks that the examiner presented to you. Based on the marks, you have to write. So if you would have seen that for the assessment, you are needed only 3 marks. Say it is coming from SLSR 2410, and then tell the examiner, students, it is providing at that time we are providing a limited assurance, and limited assurance will be given in a negative report, and you are providing a review of interim financial statements. To say that 3 marks. Listing out 7 points, students, one after the other, list, write down. That's how you get the 7 marks for the second part, part B. Right? Learn how to write. Right? Look at the question number 3, third one. See, you are the audit manager of Stars PLC, a listed company. A letter has been received by Sri Lanka Accounting and Auditing Standards Monitoring Board. Letter has been received by Sri Lanka Accounting and Auditing Standards Monitoring Board requesting audit team of Stars PLC to present at the office of Monitoring Board to review the audit file of Staff PLC. So, to review the audit file of Stars PLC for the year ended 31st March 2022. So, Accounting and Auditing Standard Monitoring Board states the audit team, my dear friends, you got to come to, I would say, the monitoring board to review the audit file. We want to review the audit file. Audit file like a review, right? So, come and be present. You shared this with the engagement team, and one junior member reminded you that the audit engagement issued to Stars PLC include a clause that we should not disclose information of this company to third parties, and if we are to do without the consent of the client, the audit team will violate the fundamental principles of professional ethics. So, when you say this, one audit team member said, my dear friend, if we go to monitoring board, are we violating confidentiality, fundamental professional ethics? Comment on the view expressed by junior member of Stars PLC audit engagement with reference to the applicable fundamental principles of professional ethics. Students, I'm asking from you, right? I'm asking from you. By presenting yourself at the monitoring board, are you violating any professional ethic? ඔගොල්ලෝ professional ethic එකක් violate කරනවද? Yes or no එකක් දෙන්නකො මුලින්ම. Give us a yes or no. By presenting yourself at monitoring board, are you violating confidentiality? Directly මං ඇහුවා. Are you violating confidentiality? Yes or no? What's your response?
No.
Then why no? I know when. Can you elaborate it with Buddha?
It's our responsibility.
It is our responsibility, and we know, right, when we let's say take it from the ethical perspective, right, we have a confidentiality clause, right? We have, I would say, a principle of maintaining, safeguarding clients' confidential information, and we should not divulge confidential information for third parties, and we should not use clients' confidential information to our personal advantage as well. However, at a time when these information are needed by a legal court of law or maybe a professional investigative body, as you correctly said, it's a responsibility of ours to present those information. Then the issue, how you get this 5 marks? That is the game that you got to play with. Right? How do you get this 5 marks? Can you guys say what we have to write to get 5 marks? He's asking us to comment. Comment. So how do you get this 5 marks? How do you approach this action verb? Action verb approach. How do you get this 5 marks? මොනවද මේකට දාන්න ඕන points ළමයි? Imagine your answer is a fruit salad. Right? ඔයාගේ answer එක fruit salad එකක් කියලා හිතන්නකෝ. To get the necessary taste, right? To get the necessary, I would say, the proper taste, you have to put all the ingredients. So to get these 5 marks, what are the things that should be there? Students, the first thing that should be there, that you have to say, this is related to fundamental professional ethical principle of confidentiality. And as our friend said, clearly state to the examiner, we are not violating any confidentiality here. Tell him like that. and then say, this is a responsibility of us, right, which we have to do as per our code of ethics. When monitoring board, investigative professional bodies request us information, we got to present those. So say that we are not violating anything. To tell that, you are getting 5 marks. Shall we write down the answer? We'll write down the answer for this as well, right? අපි මේකත් ලියලා ඉතුරු ඒවා අපිට නිකන් solutions එක බලමු. See. By presenting at by presenting at SLAASMB, by presenting at SLAASMB, the audit team is not violating any fundamental professional ethical principle. Is not violating any fundamental professional ethical principle. Next line, write down. Students, show the examiner that your answer is very methodical. Right? Now you directly said we are not violating anything. Then come up to the principles, right? It was a principle to discuss. Let's discuss the principle. So write down. The auditors are having a professional ethical principle of confidentiality, where auditors should not divulge confidential information of their clients. Divulge, use some quality English words, right? Divulge confidential information of their clients to third parties, or use such information for their own personal advantage. Students, when you write like this, examiner knows that you are on the ball, right? For their own personal advantage. However, code of ethics itself allows ALLOWS. Code of ethics itself allows the auditors to disclose client specific information, to disclose client specific information to professional investigatory bodies, to professional investigatory bodies professional investigatory bodies at a time of review of files, at a time of review of files, at a time of review of files, or in a professional investigation, or in a professional investigation. Hence, the given disclosure is not a violation of fundamental principles. Is not a violation of fundamental principles. Given disclosure is not a violation of fundamental ethical principles. Fundamental principles. Students, that's how you strategize your answers, right? Answer ka liyanne ehemai. Pilivara, right? That methodical way. My experience with all our students, right, over about the previous years, students, is that our students do have the knowledge, right? Our students do have the knowledge. Students, what you got to practice is how you write down the answer. You got to master writing down the answers. That's why I'm taking my time as well as your time and using this platform to write down certain answers, right? As much as possible towards the exam. Now you have sat for the what you call mock exams, you know. So use that opportunity given by CS Sri Lanka, right? So you have used it. So you know where you are right now, right? Where you are, right? So therefore, strategize the coming few weeks, coming 2-3 weeks, strategize that time, students, to write down a very quality answer. By writing answers only, you can pass the exam, right? ඔයාට ළමයි උත්තර ලියලා විතරයි pass වෙන්න පුළුවන්, not that you refer to the suggested solutions, right? Now what our people are doing, what students are doing, we get the paper and we look at the suggested solution and try to go and write down examination paper. You get the paper, you get the suggested solution, question මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ ආවොත් මේ මෙන්න උත්තරේ ගිහිලා ලියුවා. You can't do it, students. You can't pass kind of a very quality examination like CS Sri Lanka in that way. This can be only done by writing answers and answers and answers. Write up answers, right? CS Sri Lanka has a very good past paper bank, right? Use it. There is a good set of, I would say, mock examination papers given. So use them. Use those resources, my dear students. Use the study pack, right? Use the study pack, use the revision kit, everyone. These materials as much as possible use in your work. Okay, right, good. So go to part B, students. Part B, Bala. Part B, look at the examiner's requirement. Advise the procedures the auditor of Mega should follow in responding to the non-compliance noted in the above scenario. You are expected to advise at least 5 procedures, right? You got to provide at least 5 procedures. So advise the procedures that the auditor of Mega has to perform. Mega auditors, what are the procedures that you have to perform? Let's see. Tilina, the audit manager, noted that Mega Limited, an audit client, has commenced the project to construct an apartment complex, right? An audit client has commenced the project to construct an apartment complex. The auditors noted that the constructions are in progress, but the approved plan for the construction is not available. Oh my God, students, approved plan for the construction is not available. Now they are constructing an apartment, right? In an apartment, there will be about hundreds of people who will be future living, and you don't have an approved building plan. That is criminal. Huh? That is, I would say, it's a very critical case. You don't have it. The auditor was told that the approval is in progress, and the auditor's further inquiries confirmed that they have an issue in getting the approval as the plan does not meet the stipulated requirements. Oh. Students, now whatever the constructions that they are going right now is not adhering to the given guidelines of the municipal council or UDA or whatever. The auditor understands that this is a non-compliance with the applicable regulation, and therefore the auditor responds to this. Students, this is a non-compliance to the given guidelines. Advise the procedures that the auditor of Mega should do, right? Auditors of Mega, what they have to do, advise on the procedures that what they have to do, should follow in responding to the non-compliance noted in the above scenario. Students, I'm asking from you. Now they are constructing an apartment. Constructions are going on. Still the approved building plan not available. I'm asking you a question, students. From your knowledge, let me know. Can anyone start legally, from legal perspective, can anyone start a construction without an approved building plan? Without approved building plan, can you start a construction of an apartment complex where you have apartment unit, students, and hundreds of people will be living in future? Can you start construction without an apartment, without an approved building plan? Yes or no? Can the can't?
Can't. No.
You can't, students, right? If you start now, you need to have the approved building plan. Without the building plan, you can't construct. So if you started constructions means, student, that's kind of a anytime the UDA or the approved, what you call the municipality, they can anytime demolish your construction, because now you see they have done some what you call changes to the building plan, which is non-compliant with the regulations. As an auditor, what you got to do? Students, the relevant area for this is SLA was 250 laws and regulations, as well as NOCLA, non-compliance to laws and regulations. NOCLA, students, under ethics topic, very important area. Look at it, right? NOCLA lamai ethics topic ke kanuwa itamat wadagat balan. And SLA was 250 laws and regulations. Look at it as well. Laws and regulations that's coming under direct impact as well as material impact. Those two, compliance and non-compliance, look at and go. Students, in this situation, what the auditors have to do? Examiner asking, advise the procedures that the auditor has to do. What are the things that the auditors have to do? First thing, students, auditors have to get an idea about the non-compliance to laws and regulations. Auditor has to get an idea. He has to get an idea about what they have done, why it is a non-compliance, who is responsible for that, what is the legal repercussions. Non-compliance auditors has to get an idea. Number one, get an understanding about the NOCLA. Number two, discuss this with the management. Second one, discuss this with the management. Very important. Number three, discuss this with the company lawyer, right? Discuss this with the company lawyer. Very important. Number four, fourth one, advise the management to stop constructions until you get the clearance and account, or else, students, let them know that you have to address this in your opinion. right? You got to address this in your opinion. You got to address this as a key audit matter. If you do not address this in your opinion, key audit matter දාන්න වෙනවා, right? You got to tell him that way. Get an understanding, discuss with the management, discuss with company lawyer, discuss with architects, discuss with experts. Students, you got to do all those stuff. Shall we write down the answer? Part B.
Does the going concern considers on this answering?
Definitely. Fantastic. What's your name, my friend? Student?
Ansit.
Ansit, fascinating, huh? Good point. Now, Ansit, if let's say, if they have only this project, right? Now, construction companies will be having multiple projects. Now, if they have only this project, then if this get caught by the UD or whatever, they will put a hefty penalty, or sometimes demolition has to be done. Then the reputation will be damaged. Definitely going concern, there will be material uncertainties of going concern as well. 570. You got to consider that as well, Ansit. Fantastic. If it is one project, if you have multiple projects, then still the reputation damage will create some going concern risk as well. So we may consider that as well. Good point. So write down.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Buddha. Write down. The auditors shall perform following procedures. Shall perform following procedures in response with regard to the possible non-compliance. With regard to the possible non-compliance. Number one. Number one. Obtain an understanding. Obtain an understanding. Obtain an understanding on the matter of no-CLA. On the matter of no-CLA. No-CLA means NOCLAR, non-compliance to laws and regulations. Number two, second one. Discuss the matter with appropriate level of management. Appropriate level of management to gain an understanding about management response. Next one. Discuss the company lawyer. Discuss with the company lawyer. Discuss with the company lawyer and legal solicitors. And legal solicitors. About the legal repercussions of the matter. Legal repercussions of the matter. Consider, next one, consider advising the management on importance of compliance, and if not, auditor may have to consider addressing the matter in the opinion. Write down one last one. Now, students, this is a serious matter, right? In future, this may become a kind of a problem. So I would recommend you to document all this communication, all this evidence that you have gathered. So document all the decisions, judgments, all documents that you have obtained. So better to document them. So write down. Auditor shall document. All judgments, evidence and communications. Judgments, evidence and communications right. We will add because a very quality point that Ansit has brought in. So write down that we will add that as well. Good point, Ansit, right? So write down. Consider the impact. Of the matter on the going concern. Impact of the matter on the going concern. And that and that whether any possible indicators of going concern issues, whether any possible indicators of going concern issues prevailing, whether any possible issues of going concern, possible indicators of going concern issues prevailing, or material uncertainties prevailing. Okay, done. Students, let's move on to question number 4, right? Question number 4. Look at it. Look at the examiner's requirement out there. Discuss the limitations to use audit automation through audit data analytics. Discuss the limitations to the use of audit automation through data analytics. Discuss the limitations to use the audit automation through the data analytics. Discuss 4 limitations. Students, examiner is asking here, what are the limitations that you see, right? I would say limitations, deficiencies that you see to fully automate an audit with the use of data analytics. We all know data analytics means, students, usage of analytical techniques to test the 100% of the population. The benefit of data analytics is you can use those analytical software and you can analyze the entire population. Now, if you take a sales database, you can analyze the sales into geography, let's say product wise, let's say customer wise, you can do those. So data analytics, students, is a support to the auditor. You can analyze data, the trends, the patterns, the risks you can identify. But on the other hand, students, there are certain limitations, there are certain problems, issues where you are unable to use 100% of data analytics. 100% data analytics, sometimes, students, you are unable to use. Okay, so examiner is asking from you, what are the limitations that you see, why you are unable to use 100% data analytics? See, look at the question. ADL and company presently uses data analytics to test journal entries and expects to expand the scope of data analytics to perform risk assessment, analytical procedures, because it's analytical tools, no? Risk assessment, analytical procedures, and revenue testing, as this will have a greater audit automation. However, the senior partner of ADL and company was informed that there are certain limitations and is keen to know what are the limitations of using data analytics, students. Students, what are the limitations of using data analytics? Now, analytical tools, data analytics tools, trends, patterns, right? Ratios. By you, what are the limitations of using those analytical tools? Students?
Professional.
Yes, go ahead.
Audit is on the professional judgment. That it should be
first point, fantastic. Right now, auditing means it is to a certain extent you can use these analytical tools, but we all know auditing means part is skepticism, part is judgment. Now you can't substitute a human auditor with an analytical tool, no? That's quite absurd, right? So you still have to, whatever you said and done, judgment, there is a place. First thing is you need to have judgment. Judgment එක අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම තියෙන්න ඕන. What else that has to be there? The second thing is, students, now we all know human error can be prevented by these analytical tools. But if you design the analytical tool in an improper manner, if there are flaws, if there are limitations, if there are errors, flaws, limitations, exceptions in the analytical tool itself, sometimes, students, the confidence level that you like to have will not be obtained. What ඕන කරන confidence level එක එන එකක් නැහැ. Analytical tool එකේ වැරදි තිබුණා. If the tool contains misstatements, that's second one. First one, the judgment. Second one, if your tool itself is having issues. Number two. Number three, students, whatever you said and done, you apply these analytical tools into the company's database, customers database, your client's database. Your client's database, students, we all know sometimes will be inclusive of its own issues. Maybe data is not properly generated, data is scattered, data is, I would say, having reliability issues, data itself is not properly organized, arranged, data includes garbage, අපි කියන්නේ IT වල garbage කියලා, right? Garbage data, flaws data. If the data set itself contains misstatements, students, data analytics tools useless. Data වල ළමයි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් analytics වැඩක් නැහැ. Problem. And the other point, all these analytical tools, are they coming free of charge? No, those are with huge cost. Sometimes smaller audit firms unable to bear the cost of these analytical tools. Because of that, students, this is, I would say, having problems. Shall we write down the answer for this as well? අපි මේකට උත්තර එළියමු ළමයි. Because no, then you are learning, no. Answer to part A. Part A. Auditing is a profession. Auditing is a profession that uses professional judgment as a major part of professional judgment as a major part of its basis for arriving at a conclusion. Its basis for arriving at a conclusion. Major part of its basis of arriving at a conclusion. Full stop. However, since analytical tools unable to fully replace professional judgment. unable to use professional judgment, there is a limitation in data analytics. There is a limitation in data analytics. Number 2, the reliability of data, and the integrity of client's database, reliability of data and the integrity of client's database impact the results of the outcome of data analytics. Next one, number 3. Third one, over reliance on data analytics and technology. Itself is a risk. Due to the analytical tools will have its own flaws. Analytical tools will have its flaws, will have its limitations or flaws. Students, this question comes from which topic? Can you remember the topic of this particular question? From which area this has been tested?
Digital auditing.
Digitalization, no?
What digitalization?
Digitalization definitely 10 marks question na. MCQ all other 10 marks gettable. Meka අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ලකුණු ගන්න පුළුවන්. Cyber security වගේ areas පොඩ්ඩක් බලාගෙන යන්න. Just look at cyber security the area, because students, due to the current environment which we are in, cyber security is a kind of a I would say significant area. So everybody be mindful of cybersecurity. Next one. Due to the significant level of initial setup cost. Due to the significant level of initial setup cost, comma, lack of properly trained staff. Lack of properly trained staff. Lack of properly trained staff impacts lack of properly trained staff impacts the outcome of data analytics. Impacts the outcome of data analytics. Right. Students, look at part B. Part B, balanna. Look at part B. See part B. Outline the purpose of fraud investigation audits. Purpose of fraud investigation audits. Your audit firm has been requested to perform a fraud investigation audit, but it is not clear the purpose of the client request to perform a fraud investigation audit. Students, as an auditor, time to time, our clients are asking us to perform various other non-assurance services. Right? Clients may ask from you, auditor, I know that you have these investigative skills. I know you have these interrogation skills. So in my organization, recently frauds have happened. So auditor, please, can you perform a fraud investigation audit? So students, we will undertake a fraud investigation audit. Students, examiner is asking purpose of fraud investigation audits. Why we are doing fraud investigation audits? Maybe few reasons are there, students. First one, we perform fraud investigation audits to identify the internal controls, right? Control activities and control environment of the organization to identify whether any fraud risk factors are prevailing. We want to see, we perform fraud risk audits to see whether there are any fraud risk factors prevailing in the client. That's number one. Number two, if a particular fraud has happened, actual fraud happened, we perform the audit to gather sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. S&A audit evidence we need to gather. Two purposes are there in a fraud investigation audit. Number one, to evaluate the control environment and internal controls to see the fraud risk factors, whether a committing of a fraud is possible. Number two, if a fraud has happened, to gather audit evidence, sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. So shall we write down the answer for that? Number one, part B, number one. To evaluate the control environment, to evaluate the control environment, comma, the internal controls in place. The internal controls in place. as well as the ability of a fraud to be committed and fraud risk factors. Ability of a fraud to be committed and fraud risk factors. Number two, second one, if actual frauds have happened, the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, on the matters that resulted in in the fraud, Okay, students, let's go to question number 5, right? Let's go to question number 5, everybody. It is from audit reporting. Everyone be familiar with audit reporting, right? Hamoma, audit reporting familiar when be familiar with audit reporting. Standards from SLOS 450, right? 450, 550, 560, 570, 580. Then 700 series. 700, 701, 705, 706, 720, 800. All those standards, students, audit reporting, with regard to audit reporting, really important. Basically about 10 marks, right? 10, 12 related marks are coming from audit reporting. Remember how to answer subsequent events, students, right? Modifications, then I would say the basic 13 elements of a audit report, all those areas, be familiar. Look at this. Analyze the impact of the above to the audit report on the financial statements of Silver Sky Private Limited. Analyze the impact of the above on the audit report of Silver Sky Private Limited. So we got to analyze the impact of these on the audit report of the company. See, look at the question. Everyone, look at the question. See it. So we got to analyze the impact on the audit report. Nirmal is the audit senior of Silver Sky Private Limited. Nirmal is the audit senior of Cedar Sky Private Limited, a construction company which constructs apartments for sale. They construct apartments for sale. The audit is related to the year ended 30th June 2022. Nirmal has noted the following. Nirmal noted following students during the year. In July 2022, one of the construction sites has caught fire. Now, students, in July 2022, one of the construction sites has caught fire and destroyed major part of constructions, including the materials used for the construction. The insurer has agreed for an insurance claim of 175 million and the amount has been received in September 2022. Students, I need your response. We all will discuss now. Financial year ends on 30th June. This issue has happened on July 2022. Students, I'm asking. Right? Which kind of an event is this? Is this a normal event or is this a subsequent event?
Subsequent.
Subsequent event. Fantastic, Pudha. Subsequent event. So, since this is a subsequent event, I'm asking you, is this an adjusting event or only a disclosure event? What's your response? SLA 560. Adjusting or disclosure?
It should be adjusted, sir.
It is what? Non-adjusting, no?
Non-adjusting.
Non-adjusting. Fantastic. Fantastic. Why we are saying non-adjusting? Non-adjusting what is the reason? There should be a reason, no?
And the reporting date, it is the existence is there. The fire was got caught in July 2022. It's required only a subsequent disclosure.
Good point. Good point. Now, as at the reporting date of 30th June, students, there was no any evidence of, I would say, something that which is related to the subsequent event, right? As at 30th June, nothing is there. So therefore, this particular fire at the particular warehouse is a complete independent event subsequently. It's a complete independent event. So SLAMS 560 subsequent event, very important standard, everybody has to go through it and the relevant reporting requirements. So because of this is a non-adjusting event. So ideally we have to go with kind of a disclosure. Management has to make a disclosure. Management should do a disclosure. I'm asking you now, right? In the interest of time, students, we will discuss. You write down your answer at home, right? Answer ka point form again, mama when I'm saying, you write down in point form what we are doing. Students, I'm asking from you. Now, examiner asks you to analyze this. He's asking you to analyze. If the management agrees to disclose, what's your opinion? Unmodified or modified?
Unmodified.
Unmodified. What you can do to get this matter highlighted in the audit report? If they disclose it.
An emphasis of matter.
If the management provides you a kind of a disclosure, students, then it will not result in a material misstatement, right? We will then, towards the end of this question, we see 55 million materiality is also there. Materiality level, 55 million. So this 175 million is material. So misstatement will not happen if they disclose. So disclosure available. So students, better to put up emphasis of matter kind of a paragraph and bring this to the notice of shareholders. I'm asking you on the other side because we got to analyze. Make a action verb name. This is an analysis that you got to do. Students, if they disagree to disclose, what to do? Disagree to disclose, what to do? What's your opinion? Disagree. If they disagree, can you go ahead with unmodified opinion? This is material, Buddha. Then what? Then we have a problem, no? Then this will become a material misstatement. If it is a material misstatement, what is your opinion then?
Qualified opinion.
Qualified opinion. Because now don't get yourself, I would say, confused when the examiner comes up with analysis, right? We know, first point, this is what? This is something which is non-adjusting event, disclosure adequate. If they perform the disclosures, unmodified opinion. If they do not perform, that side also you have to argue, right? Argue because this is analysis. So if they do not perform the disclosures, go ahead and provide a modified opinion, qualified opinion. Did you understood how to answer? Yes or no? These are the loopholes that we see. Go to next one. Roman number 2. In previous year, the financial statements carried a disclosure on a contingent liability relating to a court case. Previous year, students, before 2022, there was a court case which was disclosed as a contingent liability. And the court case concluded in September 2022. Again, a subsequent event. Court case concluded in September 2022, and the company is liable to pay now a 75 million by 31st December 2022. Contingent liability now materialized. Company is now liable to pay 75 million prior to 31st December 2022. Students, I am asking from you. Financial year ends on 30th June. Audit report to be issued by 31st December. So, case closed on September 2022. Case given in September. Active duty or passive duty? Before audit report issued or after audit report issued? Active duty or passive duty? What's your response?
Passive.
Active duty, because before the audit report issued, right? December, active duty, no? So students, adjusting event or unadjusting, non-adjusting event, what's your response? This is a adjusting event. Fantastic. Adjusting event. Why? As at reporting date, as at 30th June 2022, 30th June 2022, this matter was recognized as a contingent liability. And after the financial year, before the audit report has been issued, the court case has been settled, and now your client has to pay 75 million. So you can now clearly make the relevant amendment. So adjusting event. I'm asking from you once again. If the management agrees for adjustments and disclosures, what is your opinion?
Unmodified opinion.
Unmodified opinion. Students, material or not? This is 75 million, material is 55 million. So unmodified opinion. If the management do not make the adjustments, what's your opinion?
Qualified opinion.
On the basis of what? What is the basis for qualified opinion? Is it unable to obtain evidence or material misstatement?
Material misstatement.
It is a material misstatement. Okay, so develop your answer in that way. First thing, see whether the matter is material, right? Matter is material. See whether it is material first. If it is material, then see as per accounting framework what you got to do. Then see whether it is a misstatement or unable to obtain evidence. Then if the management makes the adjustment, unmodified opinion. If not, go ahead and go with the modification. That's what you got to do. Go to next one, Roman number 3. The auditor's testing has noted a fraud incident, right? Auditor's testing has noted a fraud incident relating to construction material used for construction. Fraud uncovered. These materials were reported in the statement of financial state position as consumables. This materials which was there subjected to fraud is recorded as consumables that is being used for the construction, but in fact those items were not in existence. Not in existence but recorded as inventory. So inventory overstated, right? This was escalated to the management, and the preliminary investigations noted that fraud that has occurred during the period September 2021 to the reporting date, and the amount involved is 110 million. Students, this 110 million worth of inventory not existing. So that means inventory overstated, cost of sales understated, gross profit overstated. This is material. Adjusting event or non-adjusting event? Adjusting or non-adjusting? What's your response?
Adjusting event.
Adjusting event. How about others? Adjusting or non-adjusting? Because you definitely know as at 30th June, this 110 million worth of inventory not there. So since you definitely know it, students, you have to adjust it. Adjusting event. Material or not?
Material.
Material. If the management makes the necessary adjustments, what's your response? And the disclosures, what's your response? Unmodified or modified?
Unmodified.
Unmodified. Fantastic. But is this matter significant for the user's understanding or not?
Yes.
Significant. Now this is a private limited liability company, Buddha, right? If this is a quoted public limited liability company, since the management has made the necessary adjustments, but if it is a listed company, think this is as a listed company. If so, how do you bring this to the attention of shareholders? What additions to the opinion that you got to put to bring this to the shareholders?
It's a camp.
What is that paragraph? You better put
Key audit
matter paragraph. Hope you got it. Right? If the management do not make the adjustments, material or not? Material. Misstatement or not? Yes, it's a misstatement because inventory overstated, profit overstated. So what's your opinion if the management does not do the necessary adjustments?
Material misstatement is a qualified.
Qualified opinion. Fantastic. Did you understood how to analyze the opinion section? Right? So students, mark my words, right? When you are writing the answer for this, right? At home, you all have to write down the answers, right? First and foremost, see what's the matter. Understand the matter. Second one, see whether it is material or not, referring to the materiality given by the examiner. Then students, see what's the accounting framework tells us to do. And see whether there is a misstatement or see whether auditor unable to obtain evidence. So then, since the examiner's question is for analysis, both ways you have to discuss. If the management does the necessary amendments, go with the unmodified opinion with the emphasis of matter or key audit matter. If not, go with the modified opinion. Students, hope you understood it. 6 marks section. Go to part B. You got to write down the answer at home, right? Homework. Part B. Required, explain how the auditor's report shall address the key audit matters identified in the auditor's report. Key audit matter section. What's the auditing standard, everyone? Key audit matter, what is the auditing standard? 701, right? 701. Students, key audit matters means the matters as per the auditor's professional judgment that the shareholders must know. If you put a key audit matter, right, that is for a matter that will not result in a modified opinion. If any matter results in a modified opinion, you got to discuss that matter, not at key audit matter. You got to discuss that matter at the basis for modified opinion paragraph. Key audit matter. Remember this very carefully. For any matter where you are modifying the audit opinion, that should not be put as a key audit matter. That should be discussed as the basis for qualified or adverse opinion paragraph. Key audit matter should not be put for any matter where you are doing a modification. Qualified adverse disclaimer. If you are putting an emphasis of matter also, students, do not put a key audit matter. Emphasis of matter danavan key audit matter dannath epa. Remember that. Now read. Before that, once again, what sort of matters you are putting key audit matter section? මොන වගේ ඒවටද ළමයි ඔයා key audit matter section දාන්නේ? Can you give me some examples of matters you are putting key audit matter section? Examples?
Goodwill.
Goodwill, yes.
Goodwill.
Yes. What sort of? That means, as you said correctly, goodwill means what? It's an estimate, no? Estimates, judgments, highly significantly risky areas. Fantastic, right? Goodwill, judgment, highly significant risk areas. So those kind of matters. Shall we read this? Taraka, who is the senior in charge of the audit of financial statements of Alpha Electric PLC. Taraka is in charge of the audit of Alpha Electric PLC. The audit team, with the consultation of the audit partner, determined that the following areas to be key audit matters to the audit. Audit team determined these are key audit matters, students. What are the areas? Revenue recognition due to the complexities involved in revenue recognition. It's a complex issue. Highly risky area. Investment property fair valuation as it involves estimates and assumptions. Key audit matters. One is a complex transaction. The other one is a key significant assumptions involved. The audit procedures noted a material misstatement relating to revenue, and the management did not agree to make the adjustments, and the audit team decided to issue qualified audit opinion in this respect. So revenue, students, resulted in a material misstatement. So audit team wishes to provide a qualified opinion on revenue. Taraka is in the process of drafting the auditor's report to include key audit matters and qualified opinion. Explain how the auditor's report shall address the key audit matters identified in the auditor's report. Students, how your report should address. I am asking from you. Number one, revenue recognition. Are you putting a key audit matter or not? Can I have your answer? Yes or no? Number one, do you put key audit matter or not? Revenue case. Yes or no? Revenue case eකට ළමයි key audit matter දානවද? Because it's a material misstatement, you are going to issue a qualified opinion on that. Do you put a key audit matter or do you provide a basis for modified opinion paragraph?
Revenue is not a CAM.
It's not a CAM. Definitely it's not a CAM. What is the section that you are putting for that?
In the opinion, the basis of opinion is the material.
You qualify revenue. So what you do? You add a special paragraph called basis for qualified opinion paragraph. In the basis for qualified opinion paragraph, you clearly explain to the shareholders what had happened that has resulted in a qualified opinion. So that's number one. Number two, investment property fair valuation as it involves estimates and assumptions. Number two, do you put key audit matter for that? Yes or no? Y or N?
That is
investment property. Yes or no?
Yes.
Definitely. For that, you issue a key audit matter section. Okay, right? Good job, students. Part B done. We took about 2.5 hours, no? After we discussing, analyzing everything. Good work.
Excuse me, sir, a small question.
Go ahead.
So on the question number 5, the part A.
Question number 5.
Yeah, the last question that we discussed.
Yeah.
About 3 situations about audit report.
Yeah.
The answer, the request for the analyze the impact. And also one firm, one audit report. So these are three different cases, and the possible events and the report type we have to address, or we have to give an overall answer for this question.
You take this as independently, right? So this is a one particular client, Silver Sky Private Limited. Okay. So get the points individually. Now there are three issues are there now. So one by one, take them. So take them one by one and analyze them thereafter. And if needed, because 6 marks are given now. So this is how the marks are given. 6 marks, and you got to analyze. So individually analyze the points. So for individual analysis, you get 2 marks each.
Right, it's understood. Right, thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. So likewise, get your stuff cleared, right? Let's go to section 3. This is the most one of the most important, right? Let's see. Look at part A. Students, as a homework, you got to write down answers for this. Outline the controls that could be considered to be operating effectively in Nutri Private Limited and the objectives, risks addressed by such controls. You are expected to outline at least 4 controls and related risks and objectives. Students, one danger in CA Sri Lanka examination questions is within the particular question, there are multiple questions embedded into it. This is not a danger, but I would say danger from the examination point of view. One question, within that, several questions are embedded. See part A, see that and let me know how many areas that you have to answer. How many sub questions are there in part A? Is it part A only one question, or does it has 2 parts to answer? One or two? Should your answer address one area or 2 areas you have to address? Part A. Reading a question itself is, students, I would say, is a game, right? 2 areas are there, no? See, 2 areas, no? Outline the controls that could be considered to be operating effectively in Nutri Private Limited. First part, students, you got to outline the controls, internal controls that could be considered operating effectively in Nutri. That's part 1. And the relevant objectives, risks addressed by such controls. Got my point? Students, within one question, 2 areas you got to answer. You got to identify, outline controls, effective internal controls that are operating, then the relevant risks or control objectives that are covered by them. This is the beauty of our examination, students, right? So you got to answer both the areas to get the full marks. So in the examination, students, with the time pressure, with all other pressures, don't allow these areas to be missed. That's why I am saying all of you to read and review, right? This question number 6 and 7 at the reading time. Strategize properly. Reading time use karana make it. Don't allow the last 1 hour to answer these areas. Okay. Part B, look at it. Analyze the controls that should be in place to address the weaknesses. Part B, analyze what are the controls that should be in place to address the weaknesses in procurement process. What sort of controls should be there? Students, the area internal controls. Remember each business process. Spam soap, right? Control activities, spam soap, course of framework, remember effectively. Every process, right? Procurement, cash flow, cash and cash management. Dear students, revenue and receivables, property, plant and equipments, inventories, all the business processes. Remember to answer. Remember to answer, and remember how to do it. So, students, let's read. We'll read it and identify effective controls as well as our suggestions of controls. The following information related to procurement of raw materials of New Tree Private Limited, the company. The raw material purchases are made based on approved purchase requisition by the authorized persons. Students, answer to part A. Control or not? Is this a control or not? Internal control. Approval. Raw material purchases are made on approved purchase requisitions by authorized persons. I am asking from you. Next part of the question. What is the control objective, or what is the risk that the organization is trying to mitigate from this control? By implementing this control, what is the risk that they want to mitigate? Can anyone answer? Purchases are made based on approved purchase requisitions, material requisitions. What is the risk that they are going to mitigate because of this? You all can speak, huh? It's a discussion, not like a kind of a typical lecture.
Segregations of duty.
So I'm asking, just understand, right? Now, segregation of duties means a control, right? This is the approval, no? Spam soap in the spam soap, SPA approval. So this is the approval that we are discussing. So segregation of duty means a control, right? So what I'm asking now, examiner's question part there are two parts, no? What are the objectives or risk addressed by this control? By this control, what is the objective you are addressing?
It is to avoid unwanted or excess requisitions or unauthorized requisitions.
Fantastic, right? That's the answer. Now, let's assume if I am the storekeeper, I need some personal items to be purchased. So instead of buying from it my own private money, I may try to put it through the company and get that bought from the company bill, right? So to avoid that unnecessary, right? Maybe let's say excess quantities, maybe students personal items purchased. To avoid unnecessary personal items to be purchased, to avoid personal or unnecessary items being purchased, and also students, to avoid overstatement of purchases. This is why you have this control. So students, the relevant control, outline the control. Control is approval. Control approval, and then you say to the examiner, approval is in place for the purpose of avoiding unnecessary excess quantities being purchased, which is not relevant to business. Tell that in that way, examiner give you full marks. Hope you understood it. Then next one. Second control we have to look for. Spam soap, segregation of duties, physical controls, approvals, management controls. Remember that. The purchases can only be made with the approved suppliers. If the supplier is not in the system, it prevents generation of a purchase order. What is the control there?
The quality supplies.
That's the objective, no? Objective is to ensure quality, reliable supplies. Yes. What is the control? Students, what's the control here? Control is what? Computer application control, you can see. What is that? The procurement system prevents generating of a purchase order if it is not from an approved supplier. So is that IT general control or IT application control?
IT application.
It's an IT application control, right? So if you put, let's say, Pereira Limited, your supplier, if Pereira Limited, the supplier is not in the database, students, it can't be entered. Purchase order cannot be printed. So that application control inserted, right? That's the control. So what's the objective of it? As our friend correctly said, objective is to purchase items from approved suppliers only who are credit verified, quality verified, who are having the long-standing relationships to buy reliable items from reliable suppliers. That's the objective. Answer to part 2, to buy quality, reliable goods. Answer to part. The second control, right? Second control, computer application control on issuing purchase order, where what you call unapproved suppliers will be rejected. The objective is to ensure quality, reliable goods be purchased. Number 3, when the ordered goods are received, quality inspections are done, control or not, quality inspections are done, and the acceptance is based on results of quality inspections. The quality inspection generally take a day or two. Supplier submits the invoice after the quality inspections are done. Quality department raises a document in sequential order, again a control, to the stores where the quality checks are passed. All quality failures are returned to the supplier. Students, what's the internal control having here? What is the control that we have here? Everyone, what's the control here? Quality?
Ensure the quality supply.
All right, that's the objective. Control? Control having a quality check, right? Quality check before accepting any product. Before accepting any product, quality check is mandatory, right? So 3 points. When the quality checks are a success, quality check is a success, a GRN is raised, a goods received not by the store's executive, GRN raised and verified and approved by authorized person. GRN authorization, control or not? Control. This is a system generated document and the system assigned a sequential number to each GRN. Students, GRN is authorized, approved, good, control. The objective to ensure that proper quality, quantity of items have been received. The following were noted. For these students, you have to recommend me controls. The medical controls recommend karanona. Certain suppliers have invoiced. Answer to part B, right? Analyze the controls that should be in place to address the weaknesses in the system. So you have to recommend me controls. Spam soap again. Certain suppliers have invoiced for the materials that have failed the quality inspections. Can you suggest me a control for this? Certain suppliers have raised invoices for materials that have failed quality inspections. What's your control? You can go ahead. What's the control for this? How to avoid suppliers raising invoices for materials that fail the quality inspections? What's your control? What's your control, guys, for this?
The person who is checking for the quality control has to report it to the the person through a GRNing. That means issuing the invoice. They should the people who are the person who is checking for the quality has to be reported soon as he get.
Fascinating. Number 1, the control that you can have is, first thing, every GRN should be attached with what? Attached with a quality inspection report. Then, before the invoice is entered to the system, there should be an approval process where invoice should be checked with the GRN and matched with the quality inspection report. If invoice does not have an approved quality pass, quality check, invoice should not be entered. Am I agreed or not? Yes or no? Invoice should be entered to the system only after quality inspection report is available. Every GRN should be attached with the quality inspection report. Invoice should be entered after the quality report, after the quality pass report only. That's all. See, number 2, although the quality checks were completed, no GRNs have been raised. Quality check done, but no GRN raised. So, what's your control for that? Quality check done, but no GRN has been issued. So, for these students, what we can do is every invoice needs to have a GRN and quality check report has to be there. Payments have to be made. Payment has to be made, right? Payment has to be approved only if there is an invoice, GRN, quality check report, purchase order available, right? Purchase order, GRN, quality check report, invoice. If all 3 are available, only we have to make the payment. In normally we call it as what? අපි මේකට අපි කිව්වා 3-way matching කියලා. Can we remember 3-way matching? That kind of a control. 3-way matching, can you remember, ne? Right? We can add a quality report for that as well. See next one. The company has made payments for the goods which have not been received. That means no GRNs have raised. 3-way matching, you can put 3-way matching for this. The debit notes are issued manually. The debit notes raised for the items which GRNs are raised has not been accounted for the system. Debit notes raised for the items where GRNs for raised where they have not accounted in the system. Students, you should have a proper approver. There should be an approver, serial numbering system. All these has to be there. Got it? So to answer the part B, students, remember to apply spam soap. Part B answer karanna spam soap done. For this one, say control as well as control objective. Everybody, AB done. Let's go to next part. Quickly we will go through. Look at the requirement. Assess the possible risk areas the auditor of Star Apparel Private Limited should consider for the current year's audit. Or D, assess 4 areas that the auditor should be skeptical and be alert on performing the audit. Assess the possible risk areas that the auditor of Star Apparel Private Limited should consider for the current year's audit. Possible risk areas. Students, how does audit risk comes? Can anyone remember? What is meant by audit risk? Audit risk means, students, auditor providing an inappropriate audit opinion. Audit risk comes due to 3 risks: inherent risk, control risk, and detection risk. You can remember, no? IR, CR into DR. Inherent risk and control risk taken together, we call it as one risk. Can anyone remember?
Material misstatement.
It is risk of material misstatements. So, students, we got to be on alert for possible risk of material misstatements here. Risk of material misstatements means situations where accounting framework being deviated by the management. So accounting standards say something to be done and the management has done something else. Or maybe internal controls are not properly implemented. That's control risk. So risk of material misstatements you have to identify. Students, part of that will be business risk. We are not considered about business risk, but we are considered about risk that will impact the assertions. We consider risk that will impact financial statement assertion. So you all, when the examiner says to assess the possible risk areas of the auditors of Star Apparel, students, be on alert for risk of material misstatements, RMMS, and business risks. That's what you've got to do. Part D, assess 4 areas where the auditor has to be skeptical or be on alert in performing the audit. Let's read. See risk of material misstatements. Read now, students, right? It's a marathon session that we are doing, right? So I'm glad that all of you are still in the session and with kind of enthusiasm you all participating. Great. See. The audit partner of the audit team had a planning meeting to discuss the audit of the financial statements of Star Apparel Private Limited. The Private Limited for the year ending 31st December 2022. Financial year ends on 31st December 2022. The company operates 2 business units. One is a manufacturing of apparels as per customer orders, and the other one is a fabric manufacturing fabric mill. So 31st December 2022, 2 business units are there. One is manufacturing apparel, the other one is manufacturing fabrics. The following points were noted based on the understanding of the organization and financial results available for the 9 months ended 30th September 2022. So for the financial state results for the 9 months ended 30th September 2022, these issues were there. There has been a significant change in the revenues as the company has been able to secure more orders in the post-pandemic period. This has resulted in 20% increase in the sales revenue compared to last year. Students, I'm asking. When you perform analytical procedures, you have identified 20% increase in revenue compared to last year. Isn't revenue a high risk area or not? Yes or not?
Yes.
Yes, 20% revenue increase. What are the possible assertions? Now, in the answer, you got to impact the assertions as well. You got to analyze the impact on the assertions. So what are the assertions that we find that risk of material misstatements can happen? Definitely, we can say revenue cutoff, right? Because students, post-pandemic period, so identification on the correct financial period, revenue cutoff may be a risk area. So revenue recognition risk, right? Assertions misstated may be accuracy of revenue, cutoff of revenue, students, which you got to assess. So revenue cutoff you can say about revenue accuracy, occurrence of revenue, right? Because this 20% worth of revenue may not be actually occurred. These assertions, students, may be misstated. So what is the relevant accounting framework that we have to write in the answer? But accounting framework, what is the standard that you got to address? Accounting standard. Can anyone remember? SLFRS 15.
SLFRS 15.
Yes. Revenue, no? So first one. During the year, there had been no significant change to the number of employees in the company. During the year, there had been no significant change to the number of employees in the company. While the gross margin remains at the same level, gross margin, gross profits may be there and thereabouts, as at last year, net profit has increased from 8% to 12% due to the low level of administration cost and distribution cost. Your inquiries have revealed that there had been no particular measures taken to manage the cost. Students, I'm asking you, is payroll cost, is administration cost risk area or not? Risk or not? Risk, no. Students, gross margin remains same, but they were being able to manage the cost that has resulted in 12% increase in net profit. So students, that means it's quite weird. It's quite, I would say, it is quite strange, right? So that means I would say administration cost may be misstated. Payroll is an area. I would say payroll cost overstated or understated. What's your response? Payroll overstated or understated?
Understated.
Payroll understated. Say it in that way. There are no significant addition to PPE. No significant addition to PPE as the company updated the machineries just before the outbreak of pandemic in 2020. No significant additions to PPE because company upgraded all their machineries just before the pandemic. There is an increase in finished goods in the fabric manufacturing business unit. Increase in finished goods. Finished goods have increased. These are not always manufactured for the customer orders, not always manufactured for customer orders and sold to intercompanies. During the latter part of 2022, there is a drop in sales orders received by those intercompanies who purchase fabrics from the company. Students, increase in stock levels are observed, but intercompanies who are buying the fabrics inventories seeing drop in demand. Is there any risk of material misstatements here? Can you all speak? Is there risk of material misstatements on inventory here? Yes or no? Definitely yes. Why? What is the reason? Students, can you expect inventory valuation is correct? Because inventory, I have a doubt whether they can sell this inventory even at the cost. Net realizable value will be less because that inventory may not have a bigger demand because the demand is now dropping, demand coming down. So inventory may be a kind of an area where there is a risk of material misstatements. Inventory may be overvalued, students. Case 2, inventories, the valuation principle may be misstated. C. The analytical procedures performed has indicated that there is a significant change. There is a significant change in the average basic salary per factory employee. So see, payroll is a significant risk area. There is a significant change in the average basic salary of factory employees. During the year, although allowances were increased due to the current economic conditions in the country, there had been no significant revisions to the increments of basic salary of the employees. Students, payroll is a risk area. We have discussed payroll would have been understated by the management. An experienced actuary is involved in valuing the gratuity, retirement gratuity, and prior experience confirmed that assumptions are reasonable and no exceptions in this area. The audit partner emphasized the importance of professional skepticism and should be on alert to certain matters. I'm asking from you students. Prior experience confirmed that assumptions are reasonable and no exceptions in this area. Students, can we rely on prior experience about the actuarial valuation? Previously, actuarial valuation in previous financial years, it's okay. With the current information surrounding this particular client, can you go ahead with the same amount of confidence about the payroll and actuarial valuation? Can we go ahead? Use professional skepticism. Yes or no? You can't, no? It's a significantly risk area. Okay. Done? Let's go to question number 7. Last question. Students, auditing impairment. Propose the audit procedures the audit team should undertake in auditing impairment. Students, auditing impairment coming from substantive procedures on property, plant and equipments, right? Impairment is a specific area. Auditing impairment, auditing value in use, auditing fair value, auditing value in use is a specific area. Students, when auditing impairment, what is the auditing standard that is relevant for you? මතකද ඒකේ වෙනම ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ් එකක් ගැන කතා කරනවා. That particular area, auditing impairment, that particular area discuss about a specific auditing standard. Can anyone remember?
Case 36.
Yes, 36 okay, but what is the auditing standard? Can't hear that. What is it? Standard is SLAS 500 and 540 auditing accounting estimates. Can you remember? SLAS 540 auditing accounting estimates. The requirement of standard is really important when auditing impairment, right? So 540 SLAS 540 guides you on this. Propose the audit procedures the audit team should undertake in auditing impairment. So SLAS 540 guidance, we have to go ahead. So your study pack contains the clear audit procedures that has to be done. We will propose. Assess the impact of the above matters on the auditor's report and type of the audit report you will issue. Metana oya issue karna audit report type එක කියන්නත් කියලා කියනවා. You are the auditors of the financial statements of mobile telecommunication company Tele Private Limited. It's an unlisted private limited liability company. The audit team has noted indicators of impairment as the company has been making continuous losses and a net liability is reported at the date of statement of financial position. And this gives rise to uncertainty over going concern of the company. Going concern issues are also there. SLAS 570 is relevant. And the assets may have been impaired. You have considered this is a significant risk area for the audit. The management has done an impairment assessment using value in use method. Students, what is meant by value in use? Present value of future cash inflows method. You have been provided with a cash flow forecast prepared by the management for a period of 5 years. The forecasts are based on the past results against the budget, other management forecast and external factors. The management has determined the carrying value of carrying value is less than value in use. So there is a significant headroom. A team member of the audit inquiries what procedures to be undertaken by the auditors and whether such procedures should be limited given the significant gap between carrying value and value in use. Students, management has determined that carrying value is less than value in use and there is a significant headroom. Management says carrying value lesser than value in use. So no impairment needed. Generally, impairment needed when carrying value more than value in use. No. So here they say carrying value is lesser than value in use. But we see all these indicators of impairment. Demand going down, uncertainty of going concern is there, right? So all these issues are there which needs to carry out an impairment. Students, what are your procedures for impairment? Part A, answer coming from substantive procedures on property, plant and equipment, and also SLAS 540. Students, number one, first one, you got to identify the given financial reporting framework, right? The requirements of the Sri Lanka accounting standards on impairments. Evaluate that. Identify what is the management purpose, objective of making impairment. Identify what are the controls implemented by the management on impairment. Prepare auditor's point estimation on impairment. You do carry out your impairment computation. Auditors to do impairment computation. What impairment computation? Evaluate the reasonability of the assumptions used by the management in calculating impairment. Students, evaluate the reliability of the cash flow forecast prepared by the management. Evaluate the reasonableness of discounting factor, interest rate used by the management. Discounting factor ke reliability ka balan. Evaluate the reliability of the assumptions used. Last one, students. We all see impairment indicators here, but management not willing to make impairment provision. What's your opinion here? We see indicators of impairment, but management doesn't like to make impairment provisions. What's your opinion? Can you go ahead with unmodified opinion if the matter is material? What's your opinion, guys?
Modified opinion.
Modified opinion. If the management agrees, no problem. If they disagree, students, we got to go for a qualified opinion because it's a misstatement which is material. So go ahead. Yes. What's your opinion? Qualified opinion, right? Discuss these matters in a basis for qualified opinion paragraph. Okay, because since we see impairment indications here. Okay, students, right? So that's our paper. Everybody. So it's glad to know, I think everybody was in the session, right? Regardless of the time, everybody were in the session regardless of the time. So I think the session was useful for all of you. So students, one few last advices to all of you. Advice keep back. First thing, reading time use very effectively. Questions numbers 6 and 7 read at the reading time. Start with MCQs, then go to 10 marks questions. Remember to keep at least 1 hour to 1 hour and 20 minutes. So 1 hour and 10 minutes. Remember at least to keep 4 questions number 6 and 7. Right? Remember that. Strategize your remaining period. Right? Strategize your remaining period for writing up as much as possible questions. Questions. So that's really important. That's really important, everybody. Okay. So everyone, remember, answer as much as questions, answer as much as possible. If you have any doubts, right? If you got any doubts, students, anytime we are free to talk to you. If any doubt is there, just get them cleared from us, right? Everybody is here at CS Sri Lanka willing to help you, and we have to thank CS Sri Lanka for this opportunity given for the students. Students, I wish you all the very best. Do your maximum at the examination. You all can pass the examination, students. That's our expectation, and I wish you all the best. We'll meet up one day as members. Thanks a lot, students. I wish you good night and thanks for your participation, everybody.
Thank you very much, sir, for your contribution.